So, with that said, let me start off with the first topic. Let's talk about Death Angel. Death Angel, of course, with a brand new song called Wrath Bring Fire. Brand new single, just came out. And, Death Angel has been a band that I have often praised as being one of the more consistent thrash metal bands out there. Definitely, since they came back. Now, for me personally, as a fan of Death Angel and someone that really loves their music, I think Mark Asagata is a great singer. And they've really, ever since The Art of Dying came out, they've really been putting out, kick-ass album after kick-ass album. I've seen them live several times. The band is, for me, has been top-notch for 20 years. And they have been putting out great album after great album. And so I get excited when a new single comes out because I'm thinking to myself, awesome. I cannot wait for some new Death Angel. Now, personally, and I always like to be fair and give my perspective as to what my preferences are as far as what I like and dislike about a band musically. I have never really been a huge fan of the early Death Angel albums before they broke up, after the bus accident. Like Act 3, I think is okay. I like the Ultraviolence. I don't think it's bad for what it is. But for the most part, the early albums from like the late 80s and, obviously Act 3, I think those albums are okay, but I think Death Angel and the material they have been putting out over the last, 20 plus years, I think in my opinion, far exceeds what they did when the band first came out. So I love the new stuff. So let's talk about the single. Now, obviously, as I've said in a past review not long ago about the Kerry King solo album, I thought Mark Asagata I think he sounds great with Kerry King's solo band. And, I was kind of thinking to myself, man, Death Angel's probably not going to be doing very much now that he is singing in this band, but that is not the case. There is a brand new single that came out. And of course, me being somebody that absolutely loves this band, I flocked to that single right away. As soon as I was notified this thing came out, I saved it to listen to it when the single finally, came out on YouTube Music. And I'm going to be honest with you folks. Something I'd never thought I would ever hear myself say about a Death Angel song. And that is, it was a little bit underwhelming. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, I don't think the song is bad by any means. Some people, that I've talked to that, follow thrash metal, think it's kind of uninspired. They don't think it sounds very good. They think the song is kind of not well written. And there are people that, of course, absolutely love it. In fact, one of my friends who is very picky about stuff that, bands put out, who really typically does not like Death Angel's music, really loves the song. Now for me, and I'm listening to this track, and I've listened to it for, probably 20 or 30 times now over and over again, because, as somebody that reviews music or listens to it, I try to really give it as much of a chance as I possibly can. And then I wait a day or two at minimum to see how well the music resonates with me. Sometimes I'll listen to an album for a couple weeks before I really want to review it. Because sometimes you listen to something, you don't like it right away. Sometimes you listen to it and you love it right away, but then later on, maybe you don't like it as much. So I like to let the music grow on me, when I listen to something new. And so I gave this song, a few days here to sink in. And for me, it's kind of like, I could take it or leave the song. The middle portion of it, where the guitar solos come in, I think is the best part of the song. I mean, that part of the song I think is great. It's got a great groove to it. I just don't think Mark Asagata sounds as inspired singing on this as he did, say, on this last Kerry King album. Now, as I often point out, and as I often have said, record labels and bands, especially record labels, typically do not do a great job picking out a single for the new album by whatever band is on that label. There are labels that do a great job. There are bands that do a great job, but generally speaking, and Nuclear Blast is definitely not a label that I will absolve of this. Record labels just pick bad singles these days. They really do. And what I mean by that is they typically do not pick some of the best songs on the album. So, even though I think this song is a little bit underwhelming and it's, if I were to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, I would say it's average. I would say it's a 5 out of 10. Nothing about it jumps out at me that really excites me. But because of the track record that Death Angel has with me, as far as the albums they put out, as far as my as far as the fact I like those records, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, and I probably will say the album is still going to be pretty solid and pretty good. But right now, for me, this track, 5 out of 10. I would say it's very plain and average for me. Looking at the past track record, too, with this band, it's interesting. They've typically, the record label Nuclear Blast, to their credit, has typically picked, in my opinion, some of the better songs as the singles for every Death Angel album that has come out, in the last 20 years. So, it's one of those things where, for me, because I've liked so much of their material, and pretty much every album they've put out, I think, has been very good. I'm going to guess right now, as it sits, that this is not one of the better songs on the album. At least that's what I want to believe. Now, there are many instances, in fact, most instances, where I hear a single I'm underwhelmed by. I hear the record and I love it. And there are the occasional time, you have the occasional time where you hear a great single, then the record is just like, it's garbage. But that's very rare. So that's where I see the song, folks. I see this song as kind of, it's just there. It's not great. It's not bad. It is Death Angel. It definitely sounds like them. It has their signature sound, but it feels like something is missing from it. And that's where I'm at with this new Death Angel song. I'll put it in the show notes, folks, and I want to hear your opinion. Do you like this song? Do you think this song is good? Or do you dislike it? Leave a note in the comments about this track. I definitely want to read your opinion on what you all think. Hey everybody, Tony here from the Metal Command podcast. Again, I appreciate your support. Since 1998, I have hosted this show in one form or another, starting off in radio and now in the podcast format. Again, thanks for watching, and if you like what you see and hear on this show, by all means, please hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell to be notified anytime I do post a video, and if you see this program on any other form of social media, please give me a follow there. Again, I always appreciate your support.